I had a question about relationships from a subscriber that I wanted to hit today. The question is from Coyote14. It says, question, I have read that the first person you may date after going through a divorce is often a repeat of what we chose, but perhaps a different flavor, i.e. replacing a narc with a borderline personality disorder, BPD. Perhaps this is a good topic for a future broadcast. Thanks, Duane. Okay. That is an excellent question and a really good point that does need to be brought up periodically from time to time. And the sad truth on this is, yes, there is oftentimes that we do repeat this. Now, it could be a different type or it could be the exact same type. Typically, what I would say is if your narcissistic ex, or toxic ex, as I like to say, was a certain type, such as overt. In other words, they were in your face. They were trying to get your attention and make you react and get all that sweet, sweet supply that they want. Oftentimes, because once that relationship ends, you know what you're looking for. You've seen it. You don't want to do it again. So anybody who exhibits those type of traits, to include non-toxic traits, even if that person does something, I don't know, they like something, like they like a particular TV show or maybe a particular drink, and you meet somebody else and they have similar interest as your toxic overt ex, you'll be on guard for that. And you'll be like, I don't even know if I want to risk this because that last time freaking hurt. I didn't like it. Don't want to do it again. So you can be hypersensitive about that. The problem with that approach is you're not necessarily looking at the right thing. It really boils down to, do they respect your boundaries? Do they actually, what they say and what they do, does it match? Those type of things. What typically happens, and this is really sad, and I hate to see this when this happens, is you run into another toxic personality type, like in the comic here that Coyote had, talking about, going from NPD, which was, they didn't say NPD, it said narc, but let's say narcissistic personality disorder, like a bona fide, diagnosed NPD personality type, to then somebody who is borderline. Or normally what happens is you have somebody that's overt and you run into somebody covert. They're still toxic, they're still using you, they're still unable to really attach to their own empathy and their own emotions, and they're able to draw you in. The reason that is because they can fake it. They can put on that mask and that illusion to make you think this person is different. They don't treat me the way the other person did. They listen to me. It's not all about them. It's not, the conversation isn't dominated about me. They're actually asking questions and they're listening for responses. The sad part with that, especially with a toxic personality type, of course, they are absolutely listening to everything you say. And they're taking notes. They are taking their mental little notebook, and I'm going to grab my prop because, by golly, I need a prop. They're going to grab their notebook, they're going to grab their pen, and they're going to go, and they're going to open it up, and they're going to start writing it down. They're going to make that mental note of, what was their family like? What is their relationship with their brothers and sisters? Were they emotionally abused a lot? What is their trigger points? The thing with that, with a covert, is they sit back and they listen and they find out what you're looking for. They find out what motivates you, what you're passionate about, what your fears are. Like maybe, let's say you have a fear of being ignored. It really gets to you, and you say that, so they know it. What they'll do is they'll make damn sure, they'll make really sure that they are focusing on everything, and they, especially in that early stages, to make sure that you think that they are attentive to everything that is important to you. The problem is, when we haven't worked on ourselves, we don't know how to self-validate, we don't know how to set appropriate boundaries, we don't know how to love ourselves, and we're expecting that from somebody else. They're able to burrow in, they're able to to get under our defenses and plant that little trauma seed to keep us tied to them. Then, as time goes on, these toxic personality types are unable to maintain the facade. Of course, in the beginning, of course they can do it. They're trying, it's a game. They're playing to try to get you in. They're playing to try to, to reel you in so they can. They can for a while. They can say the things and do the things that you want them to do, but it's not sustainable. They're not able to maintain it. This is why it is incredibly important to, especially after a breakup. Now, if you've already got into another relationship and you're doing with another, you're dealing with it, this topic isn't for you. I'm talking about talking to the person who is post-narc breakup, who are divorced, and is sitting there and they're trying to figure out what to do next. Please, 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 please take the time to focus on yourself. Take the time to work on yourself. If you go to my main site, in my resource tab, one of the books I recommend, I think it's the second book in the tab that I recommend, and that's dadsurvivingdivorce.com, is the rebuilding blocks whenever your relationship ends. And I'll put a link into it in the video here. You need to, and if it's that book or something else, you need to take a pause, take a time out, and work on yourself. Figure yourself out. Figure your boundaries out. Figure all those things I just mentioned, because you owe it to yourself. Because then when you get to the point where you're ready to date, you are emotionally healthy. You're able to better discern the type of person you're engaging with, read the traits, see the red flags, and make a better educated decision. Now, that doesn't mean that even with all this, that you're not going to find somebody who does seem like a genuine good person, who says all the right things and is a good person, and after a time, everybody in the beginning of relationships, they put on their best face. They're putting their best persona forward. It's normal, right? I mean, so, you can't think that not anybody is going to do that, right? But you just keep your eyes open and start watching for those little signs. Because what will happen is, especially if you share way too much information in the beginning with your new suitor, they will, like I mentioned earlier, they'll start testing you and they'll start pushing your buttons. Or you do something to make them mad and they will intentionally do something that you told them before that you didn't like, just to punish you. The thing is if you're emotionally healthy, if you've worked on yourself, if you are okay with yourself, then you don't need the validation from somebody else. You don't need external validation to validate your self-worth, and it gives you the ability to say no, and to have that conversation. Sometimes people do have bad days, I get it. But if you try to have a conversation with somebody and they make you pay, either an overt will do it rather quickly, a covert might wait a few days, maybe even a week, to make you pay for calling them out on something, and you just watch. You give yourself the time to really look at what the relationship is, what the pitfalls are, what's really going on, so you can make a better determination on, well, fundamentally, the compatibility between the two. I mean, let's say just, hey, hypothetically, you're dealing with somebody that doesn't necessarily have a personality disorder or some other toxic personality type. Maybe you just clash. Maybe it's just not a good mix. Maybe there's so many differences and there's not really a good way to compromise that you have to move on, and it's not toxic. But you need to be able to be able to read that situation and to make a good assessment so that you don't get yourself into trouble. So that's my thought on that. I know I have talked about that in the past, but this is a good topic to bring up, and I really appreciate Coyote asking the question, because it's one of those things that needs to be revisited on a regular basis. And to be perfectly honest, it's kind of hard sometimes to find the right topic in a sea of 520, 530 videos now. So You know, so I appreciate that. So on that, if you have some questions that you would like to ask or you want me to address, please either email me. You can do that at Duane@dadsurvivingdivorce.com, or leave it in the comment and say, hey, this is a topic request. Why don't you cover this, Duane? You know, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, and I'll try to do that. So on that, if you find this channel helpful for you, please consider hitting the subscribe button, ringing that bell notification so that YouTube will actually tell you about videos, because otherwise it won't. It's really kind of weird. And I generally put my Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery playlist right down there. So if you're new at this, I would highly encourage you to check that out, because that gives you a starting point, a good baseline to help you deal with this. And then above that is a video that YouTube has recommended and thinks is a best match for you. So it might be a topic that you've been searching on before. So on that, have a great day, and I will chat with you on the next video. Take care.